I read 62 books this year and I picked 3 books that I still remember and love. If I sound nasally, it's because I am a little bit sick. Still, my first best book of this year is Our Wives Under the Sea. It is a very sad and serene book in a way because it is about wives coming back after the submarine journey, which was a devastating one because they couldn't get out of the submarine under the sea for about 6 months, and after they came back these people have become completely different people, and a lot of chapters are written from the perspective of a wife from one of these explorers. It's so sad to see because your wife is still there, but at the same time she is not the same person anymore, so you have to kind of rediscover and recreate the relationship you had before. The whole prose and vibe of this book is very quiet and it really feels like you're under the water. Although it is not a long book, it feels like you're really like ducked underneath and cannot breathe properly. Also, the ending of this book was so heartbreaking because I was kind of rooting for them to get through it and get better after this adversity, but it just gets worse and worse and worse, and at the end it's just so devastatingly beautiful and tragic. Starting from the stunning cover and a lot of quotable quotes, I think it's just a great vibe and great plot for me. The next one is a fantasy novel, which is Long Live Abel. I read this book twice this year because it was so entertaining. I just love the main character because she is so witty and snarky, but has a pretty good heart and has a very good reasoning why she acts like that. Because she is very sick and really about to die in her reality, but she gets this opportunity to go into the fantasy world and goes through this mission, and if she succeeds it she will get cured in the reality. But in this fantasy world she has become an evil stepsister and apparently her execution will happen soon, so of course she has to act menacing to survive. It was so fun to read all the tropes getting subverted, and if you are a fan of fantasy genre, you are already very familiar with those tropes. So while you're reading this, you might kind of expect that, oh yeah, I know what is going to happen, but then it subverts it and it twists it, so it gets very fun. And a lot of side characters are very charming and entertaining to read because they're not just plot devices in the plot, they actually have a very invigorating and interesting characters. And I'm really excited for the second book of the series, and the ending was a phenomenal one. The last but not least favorite book of this year is Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead. It's a literary fiction. The protagonist has a debilitating anxiety. Now she is currently working at a Catholic church as a receptionist, and she is a lesbian, but she's hiding it from the other people in the church. A lot of things in her life falls apart in this book, and the story itself is not bright at all, but it's somehow very funny, and the descriptions about anxiety and depression in this book are so accurate. At least for me, it felt very accurate. There is also a bit of murder mystery that becomes a huge catalyst for the ending of this book. I really enjoyed that while the story talks about mental health, it also shows the thrilling and pivoting side of the story, so it doesn't really get loose at all. I'm pretty sure I will reread this next year. As an honorable mention, I want to pick Six of Crows. I didn't really dive into that book because I just felt like it wasn't really fair to mention it, because Long Live Evil, I read it twice in a row in this year, but Six of Crows, I read it again this year after like 3 years when I first read it. So I thought I'll skip that book because I talked about it a lot in other videos this year, and also I thought maybe it's reread, so I don't really want to talk about it. But nonetheless, it is a great book, and if you like a high story with a found family and great characters, it is a book for you. Let's move on to the worst books I read this year. I couldn't finish this book because I didn't have any interest in seeing the ending of these books. The first one is Slow Dance. It is a slow dance of a story. It is. It is so slow and it feels so choppy, and I just felt like, what is going on with the story? Because this is a story about two people meeting after like 17 years, and they were really best friends during high school, but they got estranged and they went into their lives. They meet again in a school union and they start this romance thing going on. And it just felt like, what are you trying to say? Although it is a huge book, the story goes so slowly and the characters are so annoying. I really tried to push through it, but I just had to give up. It was not for me. I also stopped reading 2 fantasy books. First is The Shadow Cabinet. The Shadow Cabinet is the second book of the series called Her Majesty's Royal Coven, and I really enjoyed the first one, so I was very excited to read the second one of this series. It sucked, and I didn't really feel any more interest in following the character's journey. I was very shocked with the ending of the first one, and I wanted to see how it goes, and it didn't go how I would imagine it would be. I don't think it is the book's fault, but it's more like our expectation didn't meet at the right place. So I had to stop. But at least from my perspective, the book sucked. Maybe you might enjoy the book, but I just couldn't enjoy it. And another fantasy book I didn't really like, so I had to stop, is Byleth Things. And this is also the second book after the first one, called Immortal Longings. And also I went into this book having a lot of expectation and thrill after the first book, because the ending of the first book was crazy and I wanted to know what is going to happen. There was not much progress, and the shocking ending of the first book dissipated so quickly into a random thing. I thought there would be a great scheme or something, but there was nothing in it. I was so mortified because I thought there would be a great revelation, and it was just ta-da, it just happened. So those were the 3 best books and 3 worst books I read this year. I overall think it was a very good reading year, and I read really a lot since August, and also at the beginning of this year. I think I have barely had like 50 subscribers, and now I'm close to 500. So I'm very grateful for all of you and watching my videos. Sometimes I feel like, am I doing enough? But at the same time, I think it is a blessing to talk about books, and people watch my videos talking about books. If I tell my 8-year-old self that you're going to make a bunch of videos about books and people are going to watch it on the internet and all across the world, she will freak out and get so excited. So thanks for watching my videos this year, and I hope I can give you a lot of joy and happiness next year as well. Catch you guys later. Bye!